When I started doing these interviews, I knew I had to talk to Darrell Plogger. I'm not as great of friends with him maybe as I am other people in terms of I don't know Coach Plogger as well. I don't see him that much. But I remember his assistant coach, Travis Rogers. I got closer to Coach Plogger because of their relationship with Coach Rogers. So I knew I had to talk to Darrell Plogger. I just didn't know what I was going to talk to him about. You'll hear about Andrew Rousey in a future episode, but this episode we talk about Coach Plogger's playing days. He played for Brad Bradley's dad for football, by the way. We talk about basketball playing days, and we talk about him coaching girls and much more. It's Darrell Plogger on the Sports Buffet podcast. I don't know if I would call it a bucket list item, but it was high on my list to talk to Darrell Plogger, the former head basketball coach at Rockbridge County, and I think I have found out a hidden nugget about you, but I guess it's not really hidden. When you played at Lexington High School, who'd you play for?
I played for my senior year was Coach Larry Bradley. That was a blessing for me to be able to play for that coach.
I think you knew where that question was coming. Talk to me about playing for Coach Bradley. What did you learn?
I'm going to tell you, the first time I met him, we had to get together at the high school and walked over and I introduced myself to him. And he said, let me tell you my philosophy. He said, I don't care if we lose by 1 or if we lose by 100, we will play to win the football game. And he had me from that point on. Just loved his attitude.
What did he do X's and O's wise that helped, or was it just attitude that really helped?
So when he came from Grundy, and I did a little bit of homework on him, and they were 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and we had lost a lot of really good players going into my senior year, and we weren't going to be able to run over anybody. And first couple of scrimmages, the first scrimmage, we tried to run the power game, and didn't have a whole lot of success. And then the second scrimmage, we scrimmaged Nelson County, and we started throwing the football. And from then on, we put the ball in the air a little bit. We ran some trick plays. We did whatever we had to do to win a football game, and actually ended up winning the Blue Ridge again. So, he worked wonders with our group.
Now, I have to imagine, knowing Brad Bradley like I do, very high-strung, very intense. Larry Bradley, very laid back. Is that is that safe?
Yes, absolutely. And Brad was probably 7 or 8 years old running around on our practice field. So, I knew him from then on. But, Coach Bradley, I tell people all the time, I feel like I was really fortunate to be able to play for I played for Chick Crawford in basketball, and loved him to the day he left us. And but very different styles of coaching. Coach Bradley was really laid back, and I was very fortunate to be able to play for those two winning coaches with very different approaches to the game.
If I ask somebody to describe your coaching style, what's your coaching style in your eyes?
Probably the people that are around me say I'm a lot like Chick was, disciplinarian. Very, very team oriented. It's always about the team, always about fundamentals, playing as hard as we can, which really, in talking about that, Coach Bradley was really kind of the same way, but again, it was just two different ways of getting there. Coach Crawford was more military guy. Most of the things that he said was, as he would say, constructive criticism, and you had to be able to handle that with him.
Did you take it that way?
Absolutely. And it took me a little while to get there. I think all players, if you're not used to that coaching style, it takes you a little bit to be able to understand that it's coming from the heart. And all the guys that played with me that played for Coach Crawford feel the same way, that he kind of took a bunch of boys and turned us into men and taught us what life was really about.
Would it be safe to say that you're blunt?
Yes. I don't believe in beating around the bush. I don't think it does anybody any good. Tell my parents on day one, my door's always open. But if you come to me, I'll never tell you a lie, but I will tell you the truth. And sometimes, parents don't like to hear that, but to me, that's the only way that I can be successful.
Okay, I'm going to be nice and say it's probably about 20 years at least between your coaching and playing for Coach Crawford and Coach Bradley. The blunt,
Thank you.
Well,
you can double that.
I try to be nice.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Did the bluntness work when you were a coach? Because I would argue the kids are different, but a lot of people say kids are not different. How'd you see it?
Um, I think they're different in this way. When we were coming through, we really didn't have opportunities like there are now to play a sport year round. Most of our guys were football, basketball, baseball, or combination of three different sports. And we didn't have a choice. If we didn't like it, we were either not going to play or wait for the next season. Uh, but I don't think there's a lot of difference in the kids today as far as being able to coach them. The one thing that I do think you have to do before you can really give constructive criticism is that kid has to understand that you're there to help him to be better. And if you don't have that relationship with the kid and you just come in and blow him out over something, very good chance you're going to lose that kid.
If I say the term being relational as a coach, what do you hear?
Being relational. I hear family, which is what we talk about a lot. And I think that's got to be the case, especially in here in my situation, because most when I coached the boys, I knew those families for the most part from the time they were probably 6 years old, and some of them, I knew mom and dad before the kids were even born. So I was very fortunate that most of the parents kind of gave me free rein in order to help that kid to be a better player and a better person.
Did you always know you wanted to be a coach?
I won't say that I did, but probably the people around me knew before I did.
When do you feel like you knew?
I knew. I bounced around a couple different jobs coming out of college, but by the time I was probably 25, 26, I knew that's what I wanted to do, and that's before I ever started. First coaching job was middle school football. I actually coached with Chris Wood, who ended up being an assistant at Rockbridge, and Coach Poston, Mark Poston, that ended up being the head coach here and at several different places. We had some great times, and I learned a lot of football.
What did you learn specifically besides football that helped you as a basketball coach?
That's a great question.
Sorry, I didn't know that. Nobody told you they were going to be this hard, did they?
Yeah, really. I just think the physicality of football, I don't know if I learned it. I think maybe I learned it to a higher degree. That the basketball, one thing that I've heard is that, football is a collision sport and basketball is a contact sport. I think a lot of people early on think basketball is not a contact sport, but it is, as you know, it's very, very physical. So
Well,
a lot of things transfer from one sport to the other.
and I think with basketball, people that, maybe just sitting up in the stands on the top row can't see there's hidden physicalness, like especially in the post, because, just a little nudge here, a little nudge there. I'd argue that's physical.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Especially in, we tried to front the post 95% of the time. And we call it fighting for position. And when you get two guys that don't want to give it up, yeah, it gets very, very physical in the paint.
So after middle school football, where do we go from coaching?
Middle school football to middle school basketball at Lilburn Downing. Got hired by Dan Lyons, and one of the first things he told me was he sat me down. He said, "I just want to make sure you know that you can't do the things the chick did." And I thought that was kind of funny. But, even that far back, things had really changed as far as coaching and what you could do as a coach.
Was your coaching idol Coach Crawford, or did you look up to John Wooden or people like that?
It's funny with Coach Crawford because when you're playing for somebody like that, especially for the first time, you really don't understand some of the things they do until you get out. An example of that is I used to tell guys when I played at Bridgewater that we didn't care if the team dropped back in a 2-3 zone with Chick. I had to go across. We had to set up our press break, and I had to go set a screen with nobody being there. And they couldn't believe it. We did that, but if he went back on film and saw that I didn't go set that screen, then I was going to absolutely hear about it. And once I got out and I went and watched other teams play, I'm like, well, they're not prepared for that. So the reason he prepared us that way is so when the pressure's on and that press is there, you don't have to think twice. It's automatic.
So let me rewind. We did play at Bridgewater, you said?
I played a couple years at Bridgewater. Yes, sir.
Who'd you play for at Bridgewater?
I played for Coach Myers,
Okay.
Shifty Myers my first year, and I had a coaching change the next year, and Coach Bill Leatherman came in.
How tough is it to undergo a coaching change?
Oh, man. For me and for the guys that I played with that were coming back, toughest thing in the world. And I'm Coach Leatherman, I think, was a really good coach,
Right.
but he had brought his guys in, and I felt like the guys that were coming back were really better players, but he brought those guys in and they were going to play. And again, learning experience for me, really learning experience for everybody that was already there. Just a tough situation. Hate to see anybody have to go through that.
I think for people that play in that situation, it's almost like, why eat the leftovers? Because the coach is cooking a fresh meal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not part of the fresh meal, not to be rude, but it sucks to be you in that type of situation.
Yeah, and I tell you what I did, and I passed this on to some other guys that's played for me that's been caught in the same situation, is that about probably midway through the season, I told some of the guys that I'd come in with that how I'm going to approach it is every practice to me is a game.
Right.
And I'm playing it as a game and approaching it with that mentality, and I'm going to have some fun that way. So that was how I got through it.
Chick Crawford, legendary. He's been there a while. When did you actually kind of like him, if that makes sense?
Oh, man. Probably realized, again, probably a year out of playing for him, I realized what he had done for all of us. And I was a captain, so I caught double doses of everything. I had players come up to me and ask me how could I put up with what he would put me through. And I said, hey, sometimes you just got to let it go in this year and out the other year and say yes, sir, and keep going. When you play for somebody that's that demanding, sometimes you just have to do what you got to do.
So after coaching middle school football and middle school basketball, where do we go from there?
Went to Rockbridge County High School as a JV coach. Had a really good group of middle schoolers. Went out to the high school for 1 year and had some success with those guys, but was not a good situation for basketball at that time.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. In addition to guys, at one point you also coach girls? Yay or nay?
Yeah, I coached girls the last 3 years. Made the regionals. I think the school had only made regionals twice in the history of the school, and we made the regions the last 2 years, which sounds okay, but I wasn't satisfied with how we ended up. I had 2 girls transfer that would have made a huge difference in our season, and we're right to transfer. Both of them are really young for their class. Both of them are going to play college basketball, and I told them when they left they're making the right decision. And probably being a high school coach is trying to get players in the places where it's going to suit them the best and where they can have the most success. And I think that's one of the hardest things really to do is to tell your best players that they need to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did that conversation kind of go aside from this is best for your future?
So I had a 6'3", legit 6'3" post player, Ruby, was averaged like double as a freshman. Played as a sophomore, got better, and she called me, and I kind of figured she was probably leaving. She called me really upset, crying, and I said, Ruby, you don't have to be upset. I said, I knew this was coming, and you're probably making the right decision. So, yeah, that was a tough one. That was a tough conversation because she really hated to leave, but I think she knew she needed to leave to get better competition and get to where she needs to be.
How tough was it to coach girls?
Very tough for me. Very tough. A lot of my friends in the coaching business said, oh, man, you're going to love it. They're easier to coach. But we had a really just a losing culture. And I feel like we had turned it around, but I told the girls when they first hired me, I said, hey, when growing up, I had a brother. As a father, I had 2 sons. Haven't really been around girls in this aspect, and I learned a lot. I probably learned more from them than they did from me.
Is there
But it was very tough.
Is there anything you had learned in guys that you could take over to girls and apply, not counting X's and O's?
Not really, because I and maybe this was my mistake, but I tried to coach them the same, the best that I could.
Right.
The big problem with girls here at Rockbridge was that we just did not have the numbers to. For example, last year we didn't have a JV, and we only had 12 girls on varsity, and the girls kind of knew that I can't kick everybody off, so
Right.
they kind of got by with some things that would, if I had numbers, it would not have happened.
Let me
And that was
interrupt
a
real
frustrating
quick.
part for me. Yeah.
When did you know you could not coach girls like you could coach guys?
Um,
Because I have 2 daughters. I don't think I would do good with, what to tell
Right.
boys. You have
Right.
sons, so I totally
Yeah.
get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'd say for me, probably day one of the first practice. I knew it. I knew I had to approach it differently.
I'm in my head, I'm just imagining the first meltdown that a girl had and she came into practice, and I can see the look on your face. It's like a deer in headlights.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's very true. Very
So
true.
what did you kind of do?
I'll tell you what, I was very fortunate to have an assistant named Monica Schaus that probably taught me more about coaching girls than anything ever or anybody ever. And she was really good, and she explained to me just different things about the girls, and I probably wouldn't have made it through without her. She was awesome. She had been through it as a player. She played, I think she played a year at Radford. But yeah, without her, and I wouldn't have been able to make it, because she really helped me tremendously.
Well, you kind of hit on it, but I'm going to ask anyway. How much did it help that she was high level? It's not like she just played JV basketball at.
Yeah, no, absolutely helped. When she spoke, she had the girls' ears. They knew she had been through it as a player, was a good player. So yeah, that was a huge help.
Big difference in girls and guys. What is it besides the parts?
Again, I just think it's how you can talk to them.
Yeah.
Again, I think guys, you can, and even it's changed through the years too, but you can be more, I guess, critical of guys, and they can accept it. Where with girls, I think it's very difficult for them to accept that.
Did you feel like you had to show the girls love quicker than you showed the guys?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
What'd that look like, being the dad of sons, not daughters?
It was definitely different. I mean, from practices, from basically every aspect of coaching, drills, probably. I always tried to, I think the older we get as coaches, sometimes the more critical we become. And I tell my assistants, if I get too negative, you let me know. But with girls, it just can't go negative. If you go negative, it better come back real quick with some positives.
I hated to interrupt Darrell Plogger so much, but as Jeff Woody, the former head coach of Brookville and Eastie Glass and Monticello and Charlottesville, has said, it's a conversation. So I really, truly thank Coach Plogger for this part of the conversation. You'll hear more, and you'll hear more of the Sports Buffet podcast with me, Bob Alvis.